Okay, so here's a question that pops up everywhere on worksheets, on the internet. So let's have a look at how to solve it. We have an investor buying stock for $1,600. It drops $10 per share. She sells all but 4 for $1,120. How many did she originally buy? So our variable is here, how many did she originally buy, because that's what we want. So I'm going to let N equal the number of shares originally bought or purchased. So if N was the original amount purchased and they cost $1,600 in total, then the amount each is 1,600 divided by N. For example, if she bought 100 shares, they would have been $16 each. She's now selling them for $10 less because there's been a price drop. So whatever this value was, it's now being reduced by 10. When she sells them, she gets $1,120. But how many is she selling? She's not selling all of them. And that says all but 4. So if she started with N, she's selling N minus 4. So I've tried to highlight it for you so you can see where everything's coming from. So the 1,600 she originally purchased, we don't know how much they were each, but if we divide that by how many she purchased, we do know the amount. So that's where this term comes from. We're subtracting 10 because they're now $10 less each. We're multiplying by N minus 4 because N is the original amount we started with and she's selling all but 4 of them. So she's keeping these 4 here. And the total that she's getting for them is $1,120 as given in the problem. So now we need to expand this bracket so that we can solve. So N times 1,600 on N is just 1,600 because the N's will cancel. Then N times negative 10 is negative 10N. Negative 4 times 1,600 on N is negative 6,400 on N. And then negative 4 times negative 10 is plus 40. Okay, you've got two negatives there, so it becomes a positive. And we still have our 1,120 on the right-hand side. Now the N here is really annoying. So to get rid of it, we can just multiply absolutely everything times N. So we end up with 1,600 N minus 10N squared minus 6,400 plus 40N equals 1,120N. Now I'm just going to collect like terms and put it in order of decreasing exponent degree. So I'm going to have the 10N squared out the front, minus 520N plus 6,400 equals 0. So what I've done there is I've combined the n's together and I've put the n squared at the front because it's the highest order, and then I've multiplied everything by negative 1 to get rid of this negative here so that we have a positive n squared. Now that I have everything on the left-hand side and 0 on the right, I'm going to divide absolutely everything by 10 because they're all divisible and you should always remove common factors if you can. So I end up with n squared minus 52n plus 640 equals 0. Now I'm going to use the factor or product sum method where I have two factors of 640 that add up to negative 52, and that is negative 20 times negative 32. When multiplied gives me 640, and if I add them gives me negative 52. So I end up with n minus 20 and n minus 32 equals 0. Therefore n equals 20 or 32. So this means our investor either bought 20 shares initially at $80 each or 32 shares at $50 each. And if you substitute either of these values into the equation or the parameters initially given, you'll see that they both indeed work. Our only restriction in this case was 0 because our denominator was x on its own. Therefore, both of these are equally valid. And there is your answer.